wanted to give some real-world kind of acknowledgments to some of the neighborhood watch groups that are doing some really wonderful things in their community. What I'd like to do is introduce Mr. Robert Reeves. He's on North 18th Street. Would you come up, please? Could you just talk very briefly in terms of how organizing your crime watch group has helped your neighborhood, briefly?
It's definitely made our streets quieter. We had a little, I won't say a little bit because anything can blow up and get real big, but we had a problem with dealing on the corner. And when we saw that, that was an alarm to get down here, get downtown to the city and do something and do it quick before it exploded and got any worse. And you know, everything's working out pretty good right now. So if there's anybody else that wants to take hold for their community, take their streets back, take them back. Don't let people come in your neighborhoods and take over. You take your neighborhood.
They've been taking the responsibility. They've organized. They have their officers and positions, and they went out to start buying their own signs and started doing their own crime watch work. And they've seen some wonderful results. I'd like to introduce Mrs. Lowry. Come up, Mrs. Lowry. She's at Norwood Street, and they're doing some great things. Talk briefly about what you've been doing.
Since we've started, we've had drug deals going back, in fact, in my backyard, and it has slowed down completely. We have cleaned up our neighborhood. We have cleaned up our alleys, and it has stopped a lot of things. It's just clean up your neighborhood. Everybody needs to take care of their own property. You got to get the people to do that.
I want to also acknowledge Mr. Ron. Come on up from Zarka Street. Now, they've been long-standing. Give him a hand. Talk briefly about what you're doing on Zarka Street.
One of the things that we do in our community is we welcome people to the neighborhood with a flyer, and we tell them that illegal activities will not be tolerated. We all will tell on you. So we're watching them, and we're letting them know that we're watching them. It's posted, and they understand.
Thank you so much. I want to introduce Mr. Barnett. I met him as I was the ombudsman, and I'm also going to introduce Iron Man here, Mr. Ryan Stark. Anybody saw Iron Man? But I wanted to introduce Don. Don, talk briefly about what you're doing in your community. Stand up, please.
May 2 years ago, Friends of Midtown started a foot patrol. We met with the mayor and the police chief before we organized it, and got their approval and their input. We've been going strong for over 2.5 years now. We go out for a 2-hour shift whenever we can get 4 people together, and it's something that the neighborhood. We get a lot of acknowledgments when we're out walking. People see, they know our presence, and we get a lot of thanks. We'd like to get more volunteers, but we make a try of it.
Mr. Ryan Stark, comments. These are the shirts. Now, this is their shirt for their foot patrol group. Turn around and let the camera see that.
Yeah. It's on the back, too. Yeah, here. So anyway, I think one of the primary concerns and one of the things that we're all dealing with here is apathy. And really it becomes widespread, and it's easy to let things go, and if your neighbor's property falls into disrepair and somebody's tossing trash on the street, it's much easier to just let it go throughout the neighborhood. And what we're trying to do is break that cycle of apathy. And like Don said, our foot patrol has been going for 2.5 years now. And I encourage you, if you do start a foot patrol, I'd be willing to talk to you about what we've done and what's been successful. Make your mission much broader than it's us versus them, we're a patrol to report crime. Get out there and engage people. How you doing? Get to know people, encourage other people to meet one another, and just find out what their concerns are. So if anybody wants to talk with Don or I afterwards, please do.
That's one of the things I'm developing is a mentoring program between neighborhood association and crime watch groups. So thank you, Mr. Stark.
I'm part of Midtown Foot Patrol myself, and what amazed me is that sometimes when I'm walking by the street, the other day I was going to the gym, and a person came to me, "Oh, Lionel, these lights are out," and they give me the addresses, then I notify, and then I call the city hall, and they take care of that. But people, they just know who we are, and they come to us with their complaint.
Mr. Centrone is near the area of 14th Regina Street. One of the great things he's done, and this is as of last week, I had gave them the flyers for the event, and they translated from English to Spanish, and they went and gathered like 23 signatures. And this was just in a couple of days. We're doing some other things we don't want to necessarily talk about and let the bad and the guys know what we're doing. But talk a little bit about what's happening in Community Watch for you.
Well, presently around our neighborhood, we have people that are dumping a lot of trash, and we keep an eye on that. We also, as far as also anyone that we see that it seems to be doing something illegal, whatever, we're also watching out for these people in the back of the house, front of the house, because we have large empty lots. So we're trying to keep an eye on all these, because as it's basically our neighborhood, there aren't too many houses, there are a lot of empty lots, but the neighborhood's pretty close together. And we have older people. Most of them are people, 60 and over. So we especially want to watch out for them. And but we're trying. We see that we get together. That's the only way we're going to do it. And we hope to continue doing this with Mr. Bates here.
Thank you. You have a new friend with them, their dog Rubio. He's always barking at me. Thank you, Mr. Centrone. Summer Terrace, talk about what you're doing. Briefly, please.
We have a community center, and we get together once, maybe twice a month. And he's correct about the elders. They can't do what we can do. And what I do, I have them to put the information in my mailbox, and I do their footwork for them. Like license plates, color of the car, they see any trash, they don't want to approach anyone. And I want to make sure that they're comfortable and doing what they're doing by me doing their footwork for them. And that's almost a good thing, because to get to know the neighbors, because then you'll know what you got in your neighborhood. Because other than that, you don't know what you have in your neighborhood. So you want to get to know them, and then you want to tell them that, this is how it works in our neighborhood. That's basically all I had to say.
Thank you. I want to acknowledge two of our council members, Councilman Weber and also Councilman Eugenia Smith. Thank you for coming. It's wonderful to see the maturation of some of these new Crime Watch groups over the last couple of months.
I have just one word to say to everybody. When you see something, say something.
Thank you so much. When you see something, say something. Okay. Give him a hand. Well, again, this is just the first in a series of discussions regarding community policing and Mayor Thompson's Neighborhood Safe Zone initiatives. This was more or less like an a la carte, just a general overview of different departments of what they're doing. We're mindful of being very strategic as far as getting information out, and I will be in contact with several of you. If you'd like to get copies, I'm going to be sending, this program will air on 20, but I'll also be sending this to the various neighborhood association groups through their links so they can use that for training purposes. And I'd like to take maybe 5 or 10 more minutes just to get some suggestions from the community in terms of how can we enhance community policing. So please be concise and brief with your comments. Councilwoman Eugenia Smith.
First of all, I want to say that we need to certainly embrace everyone. We have to engage the community in a positive way. I know some of us are kind of anxious about getting crime underway in our communities, but sometimes the way you approach people can turn them off. I have heard some things from people that are in the community, and some of them don't feel welcome by some of you the crime watch groups. I'm telling you, this is what I heard. And I think it's important that you hear that, not in a negative way, because we can take that information and do something about it and make it more engaging. The other thing is we need to include the children. He makes a good point. We need to, and PTA is a start. I know when I worked for the school district, we used to have you all come out for Family University and get demonstrations, but we need to include our children in what's going on in our community in terms of crime, in terms of the cleanups in the community. One of the things that I think about is we can use our children, especially in the summer programs, to make little flower pots, take them over to people's neighborhoods and put them up and help to beautify them, engage them in helping clean up things. The other thing is that we need to be comprehensive. We do, because crime is a symptom of many things. It's a symptom of, and I like the survey you put together here because I think you'll get a lot of answers from that. It's a symptom of unemployment. It's a symptom of poverty. It's a symptom of lack of education. And I think that we really need to take a embracing step towards this, because if we don't work together, if we, as they say, a house divided will fall. We have to be a community that's willing to work together and include everybody in on this, because this is not just one group of people. This is going to require engaging everyone and getting everyone to buy into it. Thank you.
The cameras are used as a preventative measure, not necessarily for waiting for something to happen. The cameras are preventative. So if we can use some of our billboards to actually show what the cameras are capable of and keep that in their minds, that you don't want to do the crime, it's a preventative. So if we use some of our billboards and educate our people towards the capacity and the capabilities of the cameras, the crime will never take place. That's what the cameras are for, is to prevent things from happening. Thank you.
Mr. Centrone, I saw your hand.
Yeah, I just want to briefly say that the presentation that made in English, there are people that feel left out because they speak Spanish better than they do English, and if that's why I did the translation. But if she would like, I could work with her, if you would like, and do the presentation in Spanish. In other words, she can have it done, the PowerPoint, and and then of course I wouldn't have to be there, but I would do it in Spanish, or whatever you need in Spanish. I'd be glad to work with any of you.
Thank you, Mr. Centrone. We have a question in the back. I'm coming back.
How do we get recognized as a Crime Watch group? We've had one for many years. Granted, it waxes and wanes, but right now it's fairly active. It's a small group, but we don't hear anything from anyone. So we heard about this meeting on TV and the news, and we didn't hear the right time, so we got here late. So if we could just get some kind of official, and can we get communication back and forth from someone about little things and details? Thank you.
Your point's very valid. I'm getting around as best as I can to developing some of the newer Crime Watch groups, and also meeting with some of the current established. So I'm out for 4 or 5 days a week as we're developing. So I'll leave you my information, and I will be in contact with you shortly to meet with your group. Yes, ma'am.
How do I find out about the Crime Watch group in my area? Like, I live near John Harris.
Well, give me a call, and my information is in that packet, and we can talk. If your group isn't active, then I'll come into your community, and we'll see about mobilizing them and getting them up and running again, okay? All right, very good. Wanted to acknowledge our state representative, Patty Kim. Stand, please. Any thoughts while you're here?
I know everyone needs to go home, but I'm just so encouraged to see each one of you here. It takes the community to protect our own community. So I encourage you, if there's any way that I can support your neighborhood, just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, and talk to people you don't know while you're here. Share information. Thank you for coming.
One thing with the Green Initiative will do is create jobs, which is most needed in our community. And people don't look at the lack of jobs or job creation as being a public health issue. When you don't have ways and means of supporting your family or supporting yourself, of course you will lead to other activity, and sometimes that activity can get you into a world of trouble. The second thing that we're looking at with the initiative will help is that feeding our community. Our community is not healthy as far as getting good, whole, and wholesome food. So that's definitely two areas of concern that we're hoping that we can definitely reduce our numbers here in the city.